Cardano update.
Let's get into it.
So today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at Cardano. We're going to be having a look at some of the things that have been going on recently with Cardano, Charles Hoskinson, having a look at the charts and seeing the price action of ADA and seeing exactly what's going on there and what we think might be on the horizon in the short term. And of course, that long-term picture as well with our Cardano price prediction. If you guys find this video useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with all those new cryptocurrencies, technical analysis, hidden gems and news, then why not become a subscriber? By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It's free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? Right, Chris, anything you want to add before we jump on down and start getting into quite a lot of this stuff around Cardano?
Yeah, so I think the first thing, Nick, is we do love making a passive income here at Cheeky Crypto. So don't forget, if you're a holder of ADA, you can delegate to the Cheek pool using the ticker Cheek. We've got 1,085 unique delegators with over 11.6 million ADA delegated so far. And the pool's doing really well, Nick. We're averaging about 6% APY at the moment. Obviously, we expect the pool to average out over the year at about 5.5%, which is the standard for any ADA pool. But why not jump in, earn yourself a passive income? It's the only way to hold your ADA, in my opinion.
Fantastic. Right, let's jump on down and get into this first piece, which is just a quite light and interesting note. Let's jump in.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys, so the first thing that kind of cropped up a couple of days ago is all around how Charles Hoskinson actually met Grace, a next-gen robot that will be coming to the Cardano ecosystem. So this is something that's quite light. It's a light touch on some of the things that are actually going on in the background here. But SingularityNet basically is all around artificial intelligence and specifically artificial general intelligence. And it's currently running on Ethereum, but they're actually moving over to Cardano. We've all been quite excited about this. We've obviously seen the AGI token from the current smart contract kind of drop off with a new smart contract come in, which actually has the AGIX tokens associated. And this ushers in basically phase 2 of SingularityNet moving and porting over to the Cardano ecosystem. As a part of that, Charles Hoskinson obviously meets Grace, the next generation robot, which will be coming to the Cardano ecosystem. And basically this is Hanson Robotics with a combination of the artificial intelligence that's is SingularityNet. So as it says here, we do live in an age of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robots. And now one company is combining all these next generation technologies, and it's doing it under Cardano. And this is huge news. I do think that as much as this is a bit of a light touch on what's going on for Cardano, it's important to recognize the importance of this step and this milestone in what is happening for both SingularityNet and Cardano. Because if we really think about artificial intelligence and what it can do for the space, then ultimately that artificial intelligence being on the Cardano ecosystem is massive news for Cardano, and it has huge implications to what could then be achieved via the Cardano ecosystem and many of those dApps that will be built upon it. So this might seem like a really small thing, but actually it has huge consequences and a bit of a ripple effect further down the chain. So massive for SingularityNet being able to use that superior technology that is Cardano, and massive news for Cardano to be able to leverage that artificial general intelligence. So things here, although this is a really light piece of news, it's important that we understand what's actually happening here and the ripples that could be caused from this. So just wanted to highlight the fact that that happened, and this thing is progressing nicely. We've seen the AGIX be airdropped down to everyone's wallets, and obviously we're ushering in phase 2 for SingularityNet onto the Cardano ecosystem. The next thing that we want to kind of talk about here is investing in Cardano for its long-term growth. So this one actually came out a couple of days ago. So again, Cardano is adding new features which should help it recover from the last month's crash, which obviously was mainly driven by Bitcoin. We're still seeing a lot of volatility in this space. It has major resistance in terms of ADA, finding that $1.83 really being a bit of a struggling point for it. But obviously this whole piece here just goes through what the long-term growth prospects are for Cardano. And again, I'm not going to go through it in detail, but basically this is quite a lengthy piece that you might want to read up on. I'll try to drop this in the description below so that you guys can get a good understanding of it. But this is we could see the ADA soon break out of a big way, and basically ETH USD maybe the most widely used in DeFi, decentralized finance transactions, but several planned developments and upgrades just around the corner could see a wider expansion of ADA's use case. And you can see exactly that. And we speak quite openly about how we can see Ethereum's problems being one of Cardano's main selling points. And once that smart contract functionality, we've now seen obviously Alonzo on the testnet now, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But basically ushering in those smart contracts could see a large chunk of the Ethereum pie transport over using an ERC20 converter, for example, to port those projects over from Ethereum to Cardano. And obviously the long-term growth prospects of Cardano's ecosystem as a result of those smart contracts and the other functionality could be absolutely massive. And that's what this article kind of talks about, seeing that longer-term future. This isn't a quick or get-rich-quick scheme. This is a true project that's been built from the ground up with a lot of thorough thought and academic research behind it. Unlike Ethereum that was kind of rushed to market, has had huge amounts of problems. Loads and loads of people have lost a lot of money through issues with coding, and obviously 2.0 being a bit of a problem as well. Obviously more I guess from a community than from code base, although there are some bugs in that code already that need to be obviously be fixed as well. So ultimately what we're seeing here is a big shift and an understanding of long-term investing rather than short-term flips, right? So again, really crucial to understand it. And again, another one here, again, this came out a couple of days ago, of why cryptocurrency investors are excited about Cardano. And again, you're going to start seeing a lot of this, and there's lots of speculation around potentially selling the news, right? So as soon as smart contracts actually hit, rather than the price surging, it'll actually drop, and that's usually what happens when you have a sell the news event. Okay, but I think in the build up to this, it's going to get really, really interesting. And then after that sell the news event, if it does happen, we'll see significant growth as so many projects actually start to get built upon and transport over to Cardano. So this particular piece here is all talking around what those investors are really excited about on Cardano and what this might mean going further forward. And again, referencing Ethereum, Bitcoin, and things like that. But basically, top level is it's getting much smarter. Cardano can handle high demand, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. It's environmentally friendly, obviously not proof of work like Ethereum. And Ethereum 2.0, why wait and why pay ridiculous fees on a slower network? If you're running a business, it just doesn't make sense. You're going to want to be on a cheaper, more environmentally friendly from a PR point of view as well. Everything's just lining up really well for Cardano. So this point here actually kind of hit home quite a bit. So the environmentally friendly and the PR aspect of that could be huge for many of these projects currently running on Ethereum. So let's take Celsius as the example. They've been quite open with their discussions with Cardano and open to the experiment of potentially, moving Celsius over to Cardano. That is a huge chunk of Ethereum's, actual revenue being generated. Ultimately, Ethereum actually only has a handful of really big dApps on there, and the little ones don't actually contribute too much to the ecosystem of Ethereum. It's the larger players that Ethereum should be concerned about, people like Celsius. And if they were to move and really PR things as an environmentally friendly move, but also save millions of dollars in fees by doing it, it kind of makes a lot of sense. So this one really does actually something to pay attention to. And of course, Cardano is peer reviewed, and again, not many are like that at the moment. So peer reviewed academic research really helps build things up. And of course, it just still feels really early, which mostly means the investors are in at the early point in time. And I know a lot of people say that it can't really get to those really high numbers. The market cap would be too high. And again, people misunderstand what market cap is. Market cap is a very simple calculation. It actually means very little. It's just a way of us to kind of try to understand a value of a cryptocurrency. But there is never that amount of money inside a cryptocurrency. You could never liquidate in cryptocurrency instantly because there is not that money. There is not that amount of liquidity for a cryptocurrency. So it's a really hard thing for people to tend to understand. They say the market cap couldn't go as high as that, when actually this is the world's most decentralized cryptocurrency. Ultimately, the majority of it is staked. It's outside of that circulating supply. Although ADA can move more freely than many of these others, it can actually push that price significantly higher if you have a lot of long-term investors who actually have true vision as to where Cardano is going in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think there's a lot of ADA investors that actually fit that criteria. So one to watch out for, I do feel. And then again, as we were just talking briefly around, a lot about Alonzo and that testnet and what all those means, we also have Hydra also kind of being put into a prototype. Hydra, it basically allows that scalability, right? This could be 1 million transactions per second, which is vastly greater than anything else you've seen so far. We obviously have Ethereum. We'll compare Ethereum right now because it's like 30 transactions per second. And Ethereum 2.0 could see a potential 100,000 transactions per second. Hydra for Cardano could see 1 million transactions per second plus. And this is huge news because obviously the way that Cardano has been pitched has been specifically around not necessarily running dApps and running people's businesses on Cardano. I mean, yes, that'll work, but it's about running countries on Cardano. It's about running millions of people through an ecosystem, from identity through to transactions, through to just about anything. And you need to have high throughput for that. So Hydra is absolutely key. So Alonzo coming in with those smart contracts, ushering in Plutus and all of the rest of Goguen, that is a huge milestone. But Hydra also being put into prototype so we can start seeing that on the testnet in the future is absolutely massive for that scalability, as we are starting to expect, or should be starting to expect, that 2022, beginning January approximately, millions of people from Ethiopia actually onboarding onto the Cardano ecosystem, which would require a pretty decent amount of scalability to go with it. So absolutely key that we do see that Hydra element push through. Now, the other things that we have obviously here, I was to talk about the recent kind of bridge that Cardano has with Nervous Network. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this one, but a fantastic piece of news here with the public chain projects Nervos and Cardano said that they plan to enable interoperability across their platforms. And again, this is something that we talk about quite a bit here on this channel, where we do believe that bridging and interoperability are absolutely vital moving this space forward. And any particular blockchain that is closed off is basically alienating themselves from the future. So ultimately, the future absolutely has to rely on interoperability. It has to be bridging. And this is the next big trend. You're seeing NFTs this year. And you're seeing lots of things with DeFi, but bridging and interoperability are absolutely vital. So one to watch out for. You're going to see a lot more of this happen, across many of these particular projects, such as Harmony One, Cardano, to just name two. But many of these projects are also doing the same thing. And these are people who have a true vision of where this space needs to go in the future. So absolutely fantastic news here. And again, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but this is significant because it links two ecosystems worth billions of dollars in terms of market capitalization and ultimately users. Okay, so interoperability between that user base is absolutely vital. So fantastic news there as well. And again, Vitalik Buterin discusses opinions on Cardano, where this is something that came out, I think, yesterday. And again, pretty interesting stuff going on. Nothing major was actually said, but it was all about kind of how potentially Charles Hoskinson's grown and more matured over the years, and the same can be said for Vitalik as well. Obviously, these two individuals had obviously a difference of opinions when it came to Ethereum, both working on Ethereum back in the early stages. And difference of opinion meant that basically Charles Hoskinson left Ethereum to go and start Cardano. And really the rest is history, really. So nothing bad was really said, just obviously that he feels that he's matured in a lot of different ways and all that kind of good stuff. And again, I believe that Charles Hoskinson also streamed a very similar thing again towards Vitalik. So yeah, some interesting stuff that was going on there. And of course, when we get into the charts, we can sort of see what's been going on recently with Bitcoin potentially pulling the rest of the market down recently. So again, this is where we were. This was the correction that we saw yesterday from Bitcoin. We saw a little bit of a rally overnight, and again, we just had another kind of correction with Bitcoin dropping about 5% in an hour. So a pretty steep correction to happen in a very, very rapid way. And this is why you see this relative strength index just drop rapidly. It doesn't kind of dart around. You don't see trading in between. You just see a candlestick just drop rapidly. Now, what this means for us in terms of ADA is our upward trend line has actually been invalidated in a couple of different ways. So we obviously have found support on this, but we have these wicks that have been protruding below. And in the last couple of hours, the wick that actually pulled below and also actually closed right on the line right now actually is showing that actually we're more than likely have invalidated this upward trend altogether. So a new trend is going to have to be formed here, and we're going to have to wait and see how that kind of plays out, which obviously means that the breakout event that we had over here with this downward trend and the confirmation of that was being support, we'll have to see how this plays out, or whether a new upward trend is actually formed over here rather than down here. So again, we're going to be watching this closely over the next few hours to see how this one plays out. But right now, my expectations are, considering where we are on this relative strength index and where the volumes are, we should recover out of this potential 5% correction and continue our move back to the upside, following this trend line somewhat. Now we just need to potentially reset this to see where it goes going forward. But right now, my expectations really haven't changed for the short term. I still feel that we're going to be heading towards this triangular wedge. This comes in at $1.83, and obviously where we currently are right now in this upward direction that we are currently in. There is a trend here in the upward direction. It's just not exactly where my yellow line is at the moment, which does put our timeline a little bit further off. So for example, I could go set the trend line like this. This would actually then mean that we're looking for a breakout event to happen by the 7th of June, approximately. And again, I would anticipate that to be a break up, considering everything that has happened. But we obviously do have to be open to the fact that it could be a break down as well. But again, we won't know this until we get a little bit closer to the time. So give it another couple of days. We should know a little bit more information. We should see how the data is forming. We should be able to see how is our relative strength index, how is our volume, where is our current positions, where are these support and resistance lines. By the time we get up to that 7th of June, we'll know definitively, which way this is likely to go. Is it going to be a breakup? Is it going to be a breakdown? And you'll be able to react accordingly if you're a short-term trader. For myself and Chris, we are long-term visionaries when it comes to Cardano. We see long-term opportunity here. We are not really interested in trading. We tend to dollar cost average. So when there's an opportunity to get into this space, that's exactly what we do. Otherwise, we just hodl our way through cold storage and don't tend to worry about these micro movements too much. So again, if we were to just zoom on out, go back into our daily view, and I'll just shoot this down a little bit and make this a little bit smaller so you guys can see our long-term kind of vision of where things are likely to go. So obviously we have that Elliott wave five waves, Elliott theory there. We can see this starting from March of 2020. We can see wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4 is where we currently are. Going into wave 5. Wave 5, I feel, is going to be in that kind of $10 range, but there's are external factors that could actually increase this a little bit further and beyond that. The Fibonacci extension levels show this at $7.20, so I feel it's somewhere going to be in there between $7 and $10 is a relatively comfortable zone for Cardano in this bull run. But again, this technical data does not have things like smart contracts actually applied to it. So some of those external factors or those fundamentals that are not inside the technical data are going to be absolutely vital to seeing if this thing can potentially push up to $15 or $20, and maybe even beyond. Who knows, right? Anything can happen in the crypto space. But ultimately, for me right now, I'm kind of looking at the technical data. That's telling me it's going to be somewhere between $7 and $10. And obviously, once we get those smart contracts and we get the scalability and we get all this other kind of dApps built on the ecosystem, we're going to see launch pads, we're going to see DEXs, but maybe even Celsius will come and join the Cardano ecosystem. All these things are outside of this technical data, and once we start seeing some of those things, it's going to adjust this information here. That may even give us a much steeper price prediction in the coming days, weeks, and months. So it's really exciting times for Cardano, really bullish on this thing long term. And again, this is just 2021. 2025 could just be absolutely phenomenal for this cryptocurrency, along with many others as well. And again, if we're really thinking about a mature market, that comes in at about 2030. So if you're a real long-term visionary in this space, you're not investing too much, and you're basically willing to wait out long term, I do believe that the rewards to these kind of investment types are absolutely vast. And being a 10-year kind of business model or investment return on your investment in that kind of time period, it could be very, very significant. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. Chris is not a financial advisor. But, this is my opinion on Cardano. I do think this thing has absolute true value long term. And Chris, I've kind of gone through quite a bit of stuff here for Cardano. Is there anything else that you feel you want to add?
Just, there's some wonderful projects that are going to be heading onto the Cardano ecosystem, which you mentioned. I think one of the standout ones was World Mobile. So, we want to give those guys a shout out, and yeah, really looking forward to that sort of token sale and all that sort of jazz that's coming in the future. There's so much good that's going to happen in the real world on this ecosystem, and it's exciting times.
It really is. Guys, if you found this useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you would like to stay up to date with all the new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, the technical analysis and news, then do subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free. You'll stay well informed. So why not? With that said, done and out of the way, we hope you have a fantastic day, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, take care.